Something beautiful is on its way to you. This is the experience of a lifetime, my dear friend. You want to give yourself this at all costs to your ego, your pride, and your fears. Love, it's everywhere. It's beautiful. It lives within. It doesn't need to be created. It is already there for you. We've hiked down 3 canyons, and here we are. Let's shoot it, baby. I feel the funky chicken, the funky Messiah. Yes! Search for yourself on your own. Go within yourself. Find it within your breath, within your very spirit. Mrs. Nixon is done. Now I want to do a little magic trick. A spiritual path brings us to a place in our life where we discover the diamond and we learn how to pull it out of the mud. It's all very interesting. Welcome to Aspire in our series, We Know Not What We Do. I want to talk to you a little bit about your life, how you look at it, and what personal violence is. Most people would not think of themselves as being personally violent. They have a whole philosophy and religious belief system that would keep them from ever considering the idea of how vital their life is and how violent they are to their own vitality, their own life. The reason we're like this is because we don't have any sense of who and what we are. We think in terms of ourselves as being a human being, and we're always trying to be, quote unquote, better human beings. The divine is of no interest to us. The beauty is of no interest to us. Presence is of no interest to us at all. And what we're trying to do is survive, get through, have all the experiences we can get. I mean, as many as we can possibly muster up. Travel, eat, drive, have babies, save money, spend money, make it all happen. And then at the end of our life, we'll look over at it like it was a travel journal and say, well, this was my life. Many people, 99 out of 100, will say, that's the meaning of life. They'll throw in a little religion, a little philosophy, a little Jesus, whatever, and then they'll call it good. And that's it. I say to you, that is the very essence of violence, because wherever there is the need for desire to cover up the pain or the ignorance that I have about my life, there is going to be violence. Personal violence is when I trash my life, when I dispose of my life for a philosophy, a religion, a belief, or some ideal that I have that I think is going to make my life better or more meaningful. That is personal violence, and everyone's doing it, and that's why it's so easy to get people angry. I can get you angry at a drop of the hat just by saying to you, I deny you the right to say this or think that or believe this, or if I show you that your beliefs are not in keeping with the love that lives in your heart, you'll get very violent with me. You'll get very angry at anyone who points out that there could be a flaw in the scheme of your life. That's why this particular series, I feel, is so deeply important. What are you living for? How are you living? What is the meaning of your life? These things are not philosophical questions. The whole experience of life is that, an experience. What are we looking for? It's not what we're looking for, it's how you recognize things, how you travel through this life. If you travel through this life with the idea that there's right and wrong or good or bad, that there is a shortcut or that there is punishment, reward, you're going to miss this life. The life is not really a journey. It appears to be a journey. What it is a series of moments. And in those moments lies a whole world of existence. Lies a whole world of potential. You can actually live your life differently, moment to moment to moment, if you and I are conscious of who and what we are. To do this, you're going to have to sacrifice a few things along the way. And that, to me, is what the journey's about, lightening the load. It's about letting go of my ideas of how life should be. This isn't the way life should be. I hear that all the time from counselees and people. This isn't the way life should be. This isn't what I expected. So, this is what is. Now, how can you move with it? How can you adapt? How can you move through these dark and difficult crevices of your own life and begin to find, well, a sense of harmony with your life? Difficult times don't mean I've done anything wrong. It means I'm making them difficult because my belief is in conflict with what is happening now. People are always in conflict with their life. That's why we like routine. That's why we like habit, and we like everything to stay the same. Because when things are the same, it's a no-brainer. Then you don't have to look at yourself. You don't have to kind of ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? This is why religion is monotonous. It is a constant hypnosis to make you believe in this, to make you believe in that, to make you think this, and make you think not that. Over and over, believe this, don't believe that, believe this, don't believe that. It's a brainwashing. And the more brainwashed you are, the less tolerant you are of life itself and what's going on in your life. Tolerance is the key. Religious people, philosophical people, political people are intolerant of everything because they're always thinking in terms of conflict, always conflict. Life is not conflict. It is harmony, it's essence, it's playfulness, it's love. And love is never in conflict with what you think is hate. Where there is love, there is life. And where there is life, there are going to be many experiences. Some you can understand, and some you're just going to have to learn to live with, even though you don't like it or don't understand it. Because in the way of acceptance and bringing this all in your travels, you're going to find that you build a tolerance to compassion, and that is where we live our life beautifully. Have you ever wondered why you have enemies? Why you make difficulties? Why do you make enemies? You look at people, you say, I don't like what they say. I don't like what they do. I don't like how they think. I don't like what they believe in. Why? It's none of your business. Has nothing to do with who and what you are. The arduousness of a spiritual practice is often because we go through difficult, dark times because we're always making conflict. We're always making things difficult, weighing things based on us thinking we know better than other people. It doesn't really matter how successful you think you are, what a failure you think you are. It doesn't really matter what you believe about yourself. There is a dark difficulty that arises in a spiritual practice when you are comparing and weighing yourself against other people. The essence of a practice is about removing conflict. This personal violence that we have, to always think in terms of this is my enemy, this is my friend, this is a good person, this is a bad person, wreaks havoc in our life. It makes us unable to get through the dark passages of our daily living. We often find ourselves haunted by our own beliefs. Do you know every belief you have has a dark side to it? Every concept and reasoning you have is based around a certain energy, a certain emotion. That emotion becomes the logic itself of your own life. And before you know it, you're looking for philosophies and religions that support the logic of your conflict in emotion. And before you know it, then you're really caught in a trap. You're caught in the dark caves of your own thinking. And before you know it, you can't get out. There's no way to go forward. There's no way to go backwards. You don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of stumbling and bumbling around in the dark with things darting at you, sharp edges in your mind. Before you know it, Your life is just a series of difficulties and you're just trying to maneuver out of the dark. How sad. And what a raunchy way, I think, to live one's life. This is personal violence. When you look at someone, why do you like them? How much will you tolerate them? You tolerate people who will give you something you want. You will tolerate people who will give you some advantage. You will not tolerate people who don't give you any advantage, who you see no reason for. I call them throwaway people. People who just don't matter. They don't make any real difference in what you think of as your personal life. And that's pathetic and sad for all of us. We know not what we do. There's a karma to this. Whenever I am creating conflict and difficulty, I'm setting myself up for, well, my own life. I'm going to receive exactly that which I project out into my world. The problem with a lot of us is we don't get that. We truly don't understand that's what we're doing to ourselves. We think life is doing it or God is doing it. What is your concept about God? And why do you even need a concept about God? It is important that you have some idea about what you think God is, and what makes you feel like there is a God that could be thought. God is not something you can think. You can make up all the stories and beliefs and philosophies about God you want. This is what is so popular in our world today. Everybody has a concept of God. Everybody knows God. Everybody knows Jesus. And yet these people act in such unloving ways, such rigid ideas about right and wrong, good and bad. There is no possible way I can know God when I'm stuck on the belief of my own ideas of morality, of right and wrong. It's all conflict. Take a look at your life for a minute. Where are you stuck inside yourself? Where is it that you can't go forward or go backwards? Do you feel like you're kind of in that dark night of the soul sometimes where you can't change anything in your outer life and you're kind of stuck in your inner life? Go inside a little bit and do something really interesting for yourself. Really interesting. Drop concepts. If you want to do something fascinating, drop concepts. Don't put yourself in a position where you are pitting yourself against another person or where you're trying to create a difficulty in your life. Rather than creating difficulties in your life, stop. Ask yourself, what am I doing? And when you can realize you know not what you do, you put yourself in a position to be guided by something other than what you're afraid of. Most people live in fear, running from fear, running in fear. Fear from what? I'll tell you what. That you don't exist. And you don't exist the way you think you do. You and I exist only in our mind's fantasy. The real existence lives in our hearts.
Anger is something that grows out of fear in each of us. And it's out of that I feel aggressive toward other drivers on the highway, that I feel an instant urge to retaliate for someone who might have done something that I might not have appreciated. And those are the issues that we learn to look at with a little bit of dispassion, and that's kind of melt away for us.
The question comes up, do I have to give up my religion to meditate? Well, can you build the fort and fight the Indians at the same time is the real question. Religion is the core of all of the evil that we see in the world today. We can take religion and make it do whatever we want it to do. Some Christians fight for Christianity, onward Christian soldiers marching as to war. I always get a kick out of that. You wouldn't see a Buddhist saying onward Christian Buddhists or whatever. I don't think that religion serves you well in meditation. Meditation is non-religious. It has no connotation in Buddhism, Christianity, or anything. Let me tell you what meditation is. It's simply watching your breath and harmonizing with life. Now, if you want to go to the church or whatever you want to do while you're meditating, go on ahead. Do it as much as you want. But as time goes on, you're going to see that you're building belief. Isn't that what the church is about? Building belief. And the more belief you have, the less you can meditate, because all belief is thought. And what we're trying to do in meditation is give up thought. But go and try it for a while until, well, religion or meditation takes over. One of the two, it's going to happen. If you get heavy into your beliefs, you'll be out of your meditation in a few days. If you give up your beliefs and start watching your breath and doing your practice, how can you be religious? To me, it's not about religion or philosophy. It's about real experience. Can I put myself in a place where I can have an experience that supersedes the beliefs that I have and the concepts that I enjoy that keep me from who and what I am? The choice is yours, dear friend. Experiment with it and see what happens. So recently I got a phone call from a viewer who was watching Aspire, and he said, I don't get it. I don't get what's in this thing. Why would anybody do a spiritual practice? What do they get out of it? Well, it's not what you get out of it. See, that's violence. I always got to get something for what I do. I don't see the compassion or the lack thereof in this. People are always looking for the philosophy or the religion that is going to bring them the most amount of gratification. In other words, take their pain away and give them what they believe, ideally, they should have. This is ridiculous. This is so immature. When you are seeking to get out of the cave of your own mind, when you're seeking to take your journey, it isn't about what is going to happen to you and how this is going to make your life perfect. Nobody has perfect life. Nobody. Jesus did not have a perfect life. Buddha did not have a perfect life. I don't have one. You don't have one. Who would have a perfect life? Life is what it is. It's a series of very, as I said, wonderful moment-to-moment experiences. Some are altering, some are just adding. But if you look at life from the point of view of trying to get something you want, you will miss. So let me give you a few how-tos. First thing I want you to consider is not making enemies. Why make an enemy out of anyone? Why not forgive them and realize, just like you, just like me, they know not what they do. Do you know what it would mean, maybe, to pick up the phone and say, hey, Harry, how are you? Haven't talked to you in a long time. Maybe Harry's angry at you. Take a lot of courage to do that. It doesn't matter what Harry's response is to you. What matters is that you had the courage to make the effort to love them and to forgive them and be forgiven and ask them maybe to forgive you. I don't know. Sometimes you can't do that with people. Sometimes people are so hostile and ugly, you can't do that. You can't call them up and say, hey, would you please forgive me? I know not what I do. But what you can do is hold them deep inside yourself in the light of your own heart. And then maybe one day you can write them a letter or an email or whatever and say to them, you know, I was wrong. I was unkind to you. Please forgive me, whatever. These little gestures on the outside have a lot to do with the gesture on the inside. It doesn't matter what their response is to you. It doesn't matter if they write back and say, hey, go to hell, or hey, I accept your apology. It doesn't matter. What matters is the love that you feel on the inside of yourself, the compassion that you are feeling. Your life is never going to be perfect. You're never going to have it your way. You can try as long as you want. I've had friends and students try to do this for years, get their life the way they wanted it. They accumulated cars and money, people, friendships. They've done all sorts of things to get what it is that they wanted. And no matter how they tried to get what they want or how they did get what they wanted, it didn't change one single thing inside. It's just, as one guy used to say to me, Greg, it's just one thing after another. The more you get, the more you want. Explore your pain. Come out of the cave of your ignorance about yourself and your denial and start to feel the light of this life, the beauty of this life. I am showing you this side of the camera. But on the other side of the camera, I am looking at a spectacular view. It is filled with ocean and sky, beauty, birds, all sorts of things. And it's there as a reminder of what lives inside of you and me. The most important blessing you get for doing this practice, meditating, working upon yourself, allowing yourself to let go of everything you judge, finding acceptance inside yourself, is that you can recognize beauty. No matter where you are, no matter how you are, everything has a certain level of beauty in it. And in that beauty is the significance of your life and mine. When Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," he was making one of the most profound statements a human being can make. He was saying, look at them. They don't get who they are. They don't get what they are. They don't get why they're here. And they're just acting out of their ignorance. All of us could take heed from that one.
I value Greg's messages. A friend of mine about 20 years ago had told me about him, and she thought this would be something that that would benefit me, and I have indeed found that to be the case. Because what I'm trying to do in my life now is focus on what I can take with me into my next experience.
Here's a new student, and they're afraid that if they go any further in their practice that her husband's going to leave her, and it's quite possible that could happen. Let's talk about this a minute. When you start making authentic changes inside of you, and you no longer are fighting or in conflict with another person like you used to be, is the relationship over? For a lot of people, it is true. The relationship is over. We don't have relationships with people. We have relationships with a conflict in our minds. Meditation starts to dissolve that conflict. And as it dissolves, you're going to find your friends, some of your family, people that you care about, can't go on with you. I have lost many a friend in my day because they didn't think I lived up to what their ideals were, what they believed I should be. They had some sort of distorted idea about what it meant to be in a practice. They thought I changed. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, can I keep the beat of my practice going inside of me? And is what I am learning on the inside of me, is the reality that I'm finding on the inside of me more powerful, more real than the excursions I take into, quote, friendships and family? Those little ego excursions that we often take are nothing more than deficits to our life. If you look at your living, you'll see what I mean. Jesus was right about our families being our enemies. What he was saying is, you learn too much from your family. Don't be so loyal to your family and friends. Be loyal to the love that lives within you, and it'll make you a better family member and a better friend. You just got to look at it from the point of view of love. We're a nation of gratifiers. We're a nation of consumers. We're always gratifying, consuming, or doing something way out of proportion with what is necessary in the balance of life. Ain't that true? But the thing is that we don't see our gratifications as hostilities, as a personal violence. We don't see it. We think as long as we're buying, consuming, getting, eating, watching violent sports or whatever, that we're watching the drama of life. And everything's about drama and passion and gratification. And we don't see that as a violence. We didn't become the nation we are. We didn't become the world we are by being pacifists, by being meditators. We got to where we are because of rightness, of judgment, of fear, of anger, because we're running from our pain. I've been a counselor now for a long time. I try to help people understand the nature of their pain and not to be ashamed of it. People will, through counseling and inner process work, find out what's bugging them, what's hurting them. 9 times out of 10 when they do that, they start looking at themselves differently. And if they are born and raised in Catholicism or something like that, they start to feel guilty and ashamed. Never feel guilty. Never feel ashamed of yourself. Always be accepting. Realize, I know not what I do. And when you find something that's unexpected about yourself that is hurtful or painful, don't put yourself down for it. Don't make it ugly. Why does it need to be ugly? Can't it be healing? Can't you look at it and go, oh, is that so? Is that why I do that? You mean all I have to do is let that go and I'll stop being compulsive, obsessive? Yeah. And it's very difficult because we have made our pain an integral part of our identity as a person. We've made our pain the prosperity of our minds. And that's the sad aspect of it. If you want to change your life, give up what you believe in, stop being so self-righteous, humble yourself on the inside, and say, not my will, thy will be done. I know not what I do. If you're willing to go that far inside yourself, you're going to find wonderful changes. I loved that this particular program that we're watching together here. It was meaningful to me to offer it to you. I hope you'll get the CDs and go a little further. Really listen to the CDs. Listen to what I'm trying to offer to you. Practice a few of the things I'm sharing with you. You don't have to be a devotee to do this. All you have to be is willing on the inside of your heart to explore yourself beyond that little small box of common thinking that most people live in, right and wrong, good and bad. I want to thank you for watching Aspire. Thank you for letting me into your life. Please forgive me, won't you? Namaste. Master, what happens to the man who's enlightened and the one who's not after death?
How should I know?
Because, Master, you are an enlightened man.
That may be, but I'm not a dead one.
Okay, idyllically.
Oh, idyllically.
Did I say that?
You said idyllically.
Shh. What you want from your students is total attention and respect. Now, there are many devices for that respect, and this is certainly one of them. This is Mr. Forgiveness. This is Mr. Forgiveness in a smaller form, Mr. Compassion. But my favorite is this one. This is Divine Revenge. Does the work, it's small but mighty. We're ready to meditate. You might find yourself in sorrow or sadness. What is that?
Greggy, ask me another question. Go! Ask me another question. I'm ready. Go, 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 go. Woohoo! Woohoo! Ask me another question. I'm really excited. Give me an answer to this. Come on. Oh, God, I'm going to give you the best answer you ever heard in your life. I swear it's going to be terrific.